Iran's key nuclear enrichment
involve a first bomb hitting the surface above a fortified target, burrowing down, and detonating to loosen rock or reinforced concrete. A second bomb then follows into the newly created hole, thanks to precise guidance technology, burrowing even further before detonating at a depth intended to hit the deeply fortified target. The presence of 6 neatly defined burrow holes above Fordo, visible via satellite imagery, suggests these double taps worked as intended. The reality versus the rhetoric. While the bomb successfully burrowed into the earth, hitting the intended targets is another matter. American intelligence on the exact location of underground facilities might be incorrect, or the bunker busters might not have penetrated deep enough, or perhaps too deep. Despite these uncertainties, the U.S. Commander-in-Chief declared the strikes an unequivocal success, stating on social media that Fordo is gone for good. He described the strikes as a spectacular military success in an address to the nation, claiming that Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. These pronouncements came so swiftly after the strikes that a thorough damage assessment couldn't possibly have taken place. This means that even if the president's claims of devastation prove correct, they weren't backed by immediate intelligence. Similarly, Iranian leaders insisted that Fordo was not seriously damaged, but they also lacked time for comprehensive assessments. Essentially, both sides, including Israel, were quick to claim victory. The full truth of the situation may not emerge for days. At minimum, when it was his turn to address the global press, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, was more cautious. He confirmed that Fordo had been seriously damaged, but declined to state it was obliterated. Kane noted, "Final battle damage will take some time, but initial battle damage assessments indicate that all 3 sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction." Preliminary intelligence report. A different story. Intelligence gathering is often a slow and meticulous process, but real-world events sometimes demand quick preliminary assessments. It's crucial to emphasize that a classified report leaked to the American press on June 24 was preliminary. This report had not undergone the extensive vetting and validation expected of a finalized intelligence product. Therefore, its findings should be treated with caution. However, the report's findings gained wide attention because, if accurate, the White House may have celebrated prematurely. According to the report, the U.S. strike successfully sealed off the entrances to the underground facilities at Fordo, where nuclear enrichment occurs, and Isfahan, which previously housed other parts of Iran's nuclear supply chain. Crucially, neither of these underground facilities collapsed. This means the facilities themselves are believed to be largely intact, though they did suffer considerable damage, including extensive damage to Fordo's electrical systems. Ultimately, both Isfahan and Fordo are judged to have survived. Natanz, on the other hand, was reportedly the most extensively damaged facility. But even with Natanz heavily hit, 2 out of the 3 facilities are not considered a total loss for the Iranian government. The missing uranium and setbacks. Adding to Washington's concerns, the report validated fears that Iran had moved much of its enriched uranium stockpiles before the strikes. It's considered unlikely that any significant amount of nuclear material was destroyed. For context, a report by the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) just before Israel's initial attack on Iran found that Iran had enriched approximately 900 pounds of uranium to 60% purity. This amount could be further enriched to weapons grade in just days, sufficient to build 15 warheads. However, actually building a bomb and mounting it onto a delivery mechanism like a ballistic missile would still take months, compounding the issue. This missing nuclear material may already be with technicians who have the facilities for further enrichment. Some Israeli officials suggest Iran may have developed small, secretive enrichment facilities with advanced centrifuges capable of processing uranium faster and more efficiently. These facilities would provide a critical redundancy for Iran. Used precisely in such a scenario, it's even possible these advanced centrifuges were moved out in anticipation of what, in hindsight, seemed like inevitable airstrikes. Overall, the report suggests Iran's nuclear program might only be set back by 6 months or less. Other intelligence sources, speaking anonymously to the global press, indicate the setback could be as little as 1 month. Defense experts believe a more extensive bombing campaign would likely have been necessary to soften the Fordo facility for the bunker busters to have their intended effect. As some analysts pointed out before the report's release, it was no surprise that Isfahan's underground facility survived, as it was only targeted by Tomahawk cruise missiles, which lacked the bunker-busting capabilities of the GBU-57. Without a mechanism to cause deep underground damage, destruction of buried targets would be unlikely. The White House response and lingering question-shaped findings of this intelligence report were, to put it mildly, poorly received by the White House. While not denying the report's existence, the White House condemned it as flat-out wrong. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leath stated, "The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter pilots who conducted a perfectly executed mission to obliterate Iran's nuclear program. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets. Total obliteration." Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth echoed this, asserting that the devastation of Iran's nuclear program was complete, stating, "Based on everything we have seen, and I've seen it all, our bombing campaign obliterated Iran's ability to create nuclear weapons. Our massive bombs hit exactly the right spot at each target and worked perfectly." Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, even called the leak treasonous. During a NATO summit at The Hague, the president himself doubled down on his earlier claims, repeatedly stating that Iranian facilities had been obliterated. He even posted on social media, in all caps, that the nuclear sites in Iran were completely destroyed. However, defense officials speaking privately about the preliminary assessment emphasized that it's still early days. Intelligence assessments can and should evolve as more data becomes available. Different agencies may have differing assessments, and much key information simply isn't available yet. According to the Secretary of Defense, and seemingly validated by anonymous sources, the report's findings were issued with low confidence, indicating incomplete sourcing, fragmented data, or insufficient information for nuanced conclusions. It's important to remember that even moderate damage takes on a different meaning when discussing the largest conventional bombs in the world, where the upper end of the scale represents truly incredible destruction. The United States isn't the only nation weighing in. Israel, a primary adversary of Iran in this recent conflict, has also supported the president's account. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that joint U.S.-Israeli military operations have removed the threat of nuclear annihilation. Given Israeli foreign intelligence's deep embeddedness within Iran's military, Israel might be best positioned to conduct a more extensive damage assessment. However, in the murky information landscape of the 21st century, transparency regarding Israel's findings is not guaranteed. Even some anonymous Israeli officials have expressed doubts, indicating their data also suggests the underground Fordo complex was not destroyed. What can we conclude for now? Most recently, the CIA director has attempted to strike a balance, referring to Iran's nuclear facilities as severely damaged but not eliminated, before suggesting the program had been set back years. Unfortunately, we cannot provide a definitive answer to the question of Iran's nuclear program status just yet. However, there's reason to approach the leaked report with more confidence than the immediate White House pronouncements. The current administration places high value on loyalty, which in this case might translate to backing claims of complete obliteration. If a preliminary intelligence report leaked within 48 hours of the bombing warrants low confidence, how much less confidence should be given to initial claims of obliteration made before the dust had even settled? It's highly unlikely the White House had full information confirming complete destruction when the president first addressed the nation, simply because the strikes had just concluded. At the very least, the facilities in question were sealed off from the outside world. Hopefully, intelligence assets on the ground will be able to provide deeper insights as weeks and months pass. We can only hope these intelligence findings will be truthfully shared by globally elected leaders. Until then, we can confidently say there's cause for skepticism and a real chance that Iran's nuclear program has survived to fight another day.